a deeper, more important question, and I get it a lot in America, people ask, because it gets to one of the misunderstandings. It's a simple economic principle. People think there's a lump of labor. There's a lump of labor. I've got it. And now, oh no, it's going to China. Now they've got the lump, and there's so many of them, I'll never be able to compete. It's actually not like that. The global economy, when the world gets flat, doesn't just get bigger. It also gets more complex at the same time. So the example I always like to give is, I say, Mom, Dad, one day your son or daughter come home from college, they say, Mom, Dad, I've decided I want to be a search engine optimizer when I grow up. Your parents say, what are you talking about? You couldn't be a doctor, a lawyer, ophthalmologist. You got to be a search engine optimizer. What the hell is that? Okay. Your grandmother will be devastated. Okay. What is it? 10 years ago, there was no such thing as search. Suddenly search comes along. Suddenly people realize that if I'm ABC Widget Company and somebody puts in widgets in Google and I come up on page 1 on Google, not on page Gimel, the difference for me is enormous. So somebody said, what if we could create an industry that mashed up math and marketing, that created algorithms and marketing strategies to get ABC Widget Company from page Gimel to page Aleph. In fact, to the top of page Aleph. They created a whole new industry called search engine optimization. Didn't exist before. So suddenly someone who has good marketing skills and good algorithm abilities, or one or the other, and can mash them together, whole new industry. Google, holds an annual ball for the search engine optimizer industry, because they all come once a year to try to figure out Google's algorithm to game it so their companies can move up higher. So here's a whole, believe me, I never drank coffee growing up. I didn't even like coffee. Starbucks came along, I can't live without coffee. Okay? I can't live without Google now. So needs expand, niches expand. The global economy doesn't just get bigger, it gets more complex. The key is educating enough of your people to take one of those slices. And you never know where the slices are going to come from. The key, though, is making sure you're always pushing your people up the knowledge, so when somebody invents a new industry that takes math and marketing, you've got people who can dive into it.
Okay, let's go back to your last comment.
So be an optimist.
Okay. How many people in the audience are involved in some kind of SEO efforts? SEO efforts? Okay, AI people. I thought that every Israeli teen is involved now in SEO, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. Okay, so you mentioned earlier the network, the cyber network of the. If Forbes magazine editors don't want to look like anti-Semite, that's why they don't put up how many Jews are on their list. But if we know that there are many Jews over there and so on, Wall Street is probably dominated by the Jews, and so is maybe Silicon Valley. Do you think Israel is missing an opportunity to leverage that Jewish network? Or maybe how can we leverage that Jewish network?
I think there's a lot of it going on, but I think that certainly no reason you shouldn't, and where there are Jewish entrepreneurs who, either for business reasons or emotional reasons, want to be involved in helping Israel, I'd much rather see them write a check to a startup than to a charity. I hope they do both, but I'd much rather them, as they say, teach a person to fish, not feed a person to fish. And but at the same time, like I was up at ISCAR, and they had 3 seminars going on. One must have been 50 business people from Czechoslovakia. It was all being done in Czech, okay, on learning about machine tools in one room, and another room were people from Sweden. And you want to be able to compete globally, with the best, and not depend on charity. What really excites me when I was having lunch today with Yossi Vardi, and he was telling me next week a French delegation is coming here to look at startups and innovation. The week after, it's German, and the week after maybe it's from China. I met the president of the Technion President Apolog told me he was recently in China, and the curiosity about the Technion, he said, was enormous. I think that's the real strength, when you're competing head-to-head with the best. Guess you got a question.
Okay, let's go back to your energy comments. In an interview you gave at The Marker last month, you said you hope a barrel of crude oil would reach $200 because that will push forward the alternative energies. Well, are you really sure? Because it's probably going to take 10 years until we produce significant alternative energies, technologies, and resources, and by that time, many trillions of dollars will go from the Western world to countries that are not leading in democracy.
Sure. Well, what my next book is about is this. And did I mention I've got a book coming out?
Yes. We didn't mention your last book, that the world is flat.
No, and the whole theme of the book is that people say we need a Manhattan Project. I think we don't need a Manhattan Project. I think we need a market. And what we don't have today in energy is a real free market. And to have a real free market in energy, you need a price signal. I wish the price signal would come from the government raising a carbon tax or a gasoline tax. But unfortunately, especially with our economy, slipping these days, that's going to be very difficult. So the price signal is probably going to have to come from the market, and it will take a long time. This is a long-term problem to solve, and in the meantime, there is going to be a huge transfer of wealth. But what bothers me is that every time we come to these moments, we always say, oh, the public, we couldn't do that. So we never start the transition process. We keep postponing it. And therefore, the longer we postpone it, the bigger the pain is going to be. First, when oil was, the day 9/11 happened, oil in America, regular gasoline was $1.60 a gallon. I wrote a column the week after 9/11, let's have a patriot tax. $1 a gallon gasoline. It'll be $2.60 instead of $1.60. George Bush said no. He said everyone should go shopping. Okay? And then when it was $2.60, people said, no, it's $2.60. Who could put a tax on $2.60? And then it went to $3 and now to $4. And each time we say, oh, no, we couldn't do that. The pain would be too great. Well, eventually the market, or Mother Nature, is going to do it for us. And, politicians always tell you, you just can't do that. You just can't do it. And I always think, why can't you? Imagine you're in a campaign, and the anti-tax candidate says, oh, now my opponent here, Mr. Friedman, he's for a gasoline tax. He's never seen a tax he didn't like. And now he wants $1 a gallon he wants to put on it. Another tax. What would I say? I'd say, well, let's get one thing straight. My opponent and I are both for a tax. I just have this quaint feeling that I like my taxes to go to the American Treasury, not the Saudi Treasury. Now, my opponent seems to be indifferent. He doesn't mind that our taxes go to the Saudi, Iranian, and Russian Treasury. It's just a personal tick I have. I like my taxes to go to the U.S. Treasury. If you can't win that argument, you don't belong in politics.
Okay, so there's not going to be a tax right now, right? No way. Okay, I have a lot of questions, but they told me that we have only 5 minutes, so I'll move to the question I saved to the end, what I call the politically incorrect questions.
Please.
Okay. First question would be, what is your opinion regarding our Prime Minister Ehud Olmert?